Okay, welcome back. This is part 7, I think. Part 7? Yep, right. Um, so in the last video we got to step 15, which was assembling the sub-assemblies for the front end. Part 16 and 17 we went ahead and did that off camera because basically we forgot to record it. Sorry about that, but you didn't really miss much. It is interesting though, all the way up to step 17 in the manual, and that's the first time I had to use a screwdriver, a JIS screwdriver. Everything else has been hex hardware, and it's just been a pleasure. So we are up to step 18. So we are going to basically get this chassis finished in this video, and we might even give a bit of a sneak preview of the body sitting on it before we put the decals on. Okay, so I've got all my parts here. I've got my directions. Just having a quick look through, just deciding our order of operations, and straight away we need to, which Zach hasn't done, we need to cut a portion off this ball end here. Now, why do we need to do that? Is it a clearance issue? All right, give us a sec to work this out. All right, so we went and trimmed up these ball ends. Zach's just going to put them back together while I have a bit of a muck around with this servo saver, which is thankfully a lot better design than what was on the other two SRBs. So I'm going to screw these ball ends in first. I always hate doing these. They're a bugger to get started. But once they're started, they wind in pretty easy. You just got to make sure you're screwing in straight right from the start. I think, I thought I ordered a M2 tap. Maybe I didn't. But it's definitely something I'm going to order in the future. It'll be a lot easier for steps like this where you have to try and start a machine thread when machine threads aren't really designed to do that. I mean, the plastic is molded so that the thread can self-start, but it still takes a bit of effort. So an M2 tap, sorry, I've got an M3 tap. Thread tap would make jobs like this so much easier. I would just mount it in the drill and just wind it through the plastic, wind it out, and there you got your thread. And being nylon, it should shrink a little bit after you've cut the thread. So you're still going to have a little bit of that tension on the screw on the ball end. Okay, so this part here, never done one of these before. This is interesting. Done similar, but those three parts just sit on there like that. Our spring, and then our captive nut, I guess, which is just apply a little bit of pressure on that spring, and it gives you a, can I have those verniers back please, mate? Gives you a distance to set it at, 28.3 mils. Well, that's oddly specific. 28.3 millimeters. Are we going to go exactly 28.3 millimeters? I mean, what's 0.3 mil between mates? So, yes, there we are, 28.3 millimeters. And, oh, look at that. We were almost spot on, straight up. What a guess. Okay, so that's that servo saver done. I'm going to tell you, it's a lot easier than the SRB ones. They have a right pain in the bum. So we have this big screw here. We need our chassis back, don't we? There it is. Come back, chassis. Oop, bloody phone. I'm going to pitch it in a minute. So we'll just come in through the chassis like that. We get our 4mm washer, our plastic bushing, which smaller side goes up, our front body post, which goes through, I can manage it one-handed, through the servo saver, and everything should just line up. Which it does. Now we have to note the direction of this body pin, which is going from left to right. And that's not actually a hex, that's just got two flat sides. So where's those pliers there, please, mate? I'm going to have to hold that with the pliers so I can put some. And I forgot the thread lock, didn't I? Doesn't actually say to put thread lock on. Alright, well that's in. And then our front end contraption can go on. It does say to put thread lock on this one, so again I'm going to come in and do it. Just put the thread lock in the holes themselves. I'm also going to put the thread lock into the bumper screw, this bigger 4mm screw. Really need a better way to apply thread lock. Maybe a paintbrush. You guys leave it in the comments how you do it. As this is, I mean, this does work for me, but it is, I mean, you do waste a bit of thread lock just by wiping away the excess. I know it probably wastes less if you're putting it on the actual fastener, but I don't like doing that, and I've explained why. Right, I'll wipe them off. Now I might just set this upside down. The chassis is getting some nice weight to it. And just going to come in with our 3x6, I think they are. Another thing I love about these cars is the weight when they're finished. Gives it more of a sense of realism, I reckon. I mean, they're not race cars, obviously. It's not like you have to reduce it down to the lightest possible weight you can so you can get around the track quicker. They're more built for scale, aren't they? Because they are actually based off a early 60s or 70s VW chassis, VW Beetle chassis. Front suspension is almost identical to a Beetle, and rear suspension is very similar. It's just got the two trailing arms that ride up and down, and that's how your suspension works on a Beetle, which I think is pretty cool. Not the real cars, these ones. Not a big fan of Volkswagens, but they have their place, I guess. Now I need the front bumper. Well, that's all the parts I got in this tray, so that must be the end of step 18. Front bumper is just simply, you have to cut these tabs off. That caught me on the first one I built. And this bumper is not fitting. What is going on? But that takes me back to what I always say. Read the plan. It actually says there, remove those two pips that were on the front bumper. Now, is that far away, or you want to come in a little bit? Yeah, we'll bring it in a little bit. So, we're just going to set our front bumper on there, and of course, I need to put washers on. And I've already applied the thread lock to the thread, so we don't need to do that. So, in a few seconds, you're going to see this car as a rolling chassis on its wheels, probably with the body sitting on it. We still have to, we're not mounting electronics yet. I should have a spare old servo sitting there somewhere, so we can actually get the steering sitting where it needs to be. So that's box. Thanks, mate. Alright, so that was step 19. How are we with time? That's less than 10 minutes. Pretty cool. Alright, so give me a second, I'll go and find a servo. Okay, we found a servo. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but that doesn't matter because we don't need it to work at the moment. We're just going to mount it in so that we can basically keep a wheel still. I'm also going to fit this rather dirty, greasy metal servo arm. It might be too long, it might not, I don't know. But they give you different length rods for the to connect the servo, so it might turn out okay. So again, we've got to put machine screws into plastic parts, which I just hate doing. So these servos here with the open ends like that, you can, well, I've gotten away with it before, but wasn't too bad. That's got to sit that way, that sits up. You can sort of snap the screw in. I find that a lot easier, you know, to put the screw into the part, into the servo mount. A few threads. These are already tapped out to 3mm, are they? I don't think so. They seem really easy to go in. So you can just mount your screw into the part and then just clip it into the actual servo. Not all servos have that gap in the ends. We might upgrade this to aluminium servo mounts later on. I'm not sure if there's any point since it's not going to be really run that much. Okay, our servo horn. We've got this screw here, which I think should fit this nylon outdrive. When we do end up putting electronics in this car, we are going to fit a better servo, not a decent servo. Probably our usual 25 kilo Banggood special. Which I know is overkill for this car, but they're cheap, they work. As far as I know, they're waterproof. They may not be. And yeah, that's pretty much what we run in all our cars now. Even if they don't fit, we make them fit. Okay, we need our chassis back. So that is why you had to cut this ball end short, because it's kind of foul against that servo. There's a bit of a design flaw there. Right, so I have parts here. And I need an M3 ball end, actually. I don't know if I've got any. I'll have to have a look for one. The manual's telling you to use one of these plastic servo horns and cut 3 sides off, and then you mount the... Isn't that going to be used for something else? Well, it's in there, so... I'll have one here, mate, somewhere. Into one of our parts of box of goodies. Here we go. Oh, there's a nice gold one there. We'll use that. Always handy to keep all your spare parts. Now I don't know which hole this needs to go in yet, but we'll sit it there for now. And judging by that, I'm guessing it's probably going to go on the inside. So I need my 2 screws to mount the servo, mate. The 2 3x8s countersunk. They're in the next bit. And countersunk 3x8 screws. Again, trying to screw machine threads into plastic while you're trying to hold 400 other things at once. There we go. Now what we have to do is measure the distance between our ball ends for the servo and the bell crank on the servo saver, so we know what length rod we need to make up. So we're just gonna come in and get a rough center to center measurement, which around about 57-58 mil. So which one do you reckon is going to work for that, mate? You
There's a 50 and a 54 mil one.
I'd go with the 50. Put the ball ends on, which are there, and I'll have the box for the next step if you've done it. Okay, so the servo, we got it all mounted, hooked in. We ended up having to swap the metal arm for a plastic arm because the metal arm had a 4mm ball instead of a 3mm ball, or a 5 instead of a 2, or whatever it was. It was too big anyway. So this is there just to mock it up and keep the wheels straight. And now we're going to assemble this deck and sit it on. Then we're going to put the wheels on, then we're going to put the body on, and that will be the end of the video. We will do one final video when the car is actually complete with all the stickers on the body and looking pretty and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to put that aside for now. Again, let's get this together. Obviously we don't need these two little screws for the switch because we're not putting a switch in yet. That part there is for the plastic aerial, which I'm not going to bother with. So I really only need to mount these body mounts. They give an option of using aluminium ones or plastic ones. I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? Of course you're going to use the aluminium ones, unless there's a reason why you can't. That's a third hole there. Our body mounts, doesn't say to put threadlock on them, so we're not going to. And the holes need to be facing front to back. And they actually give you a hex on this one, which is nice. That is our two body mounts. What are those? Oh, that's for that. We don't need that. And two R clips. Those are for the plastic body mount, so we don't need any of that. So, next page we have the chassis back. I did read through this before a little bit, and it's saying to mount these well nuts on the chassis, and then it's not telling you anything that you need to do with them, unless I'm missing something. It doesn't look like I am. I have no idea why they're there, so I'm not going to put them in. The well nuts, if you don't know, I've got them here. They're for the electronics box in the other SRBs, where you put a screw through the bottom and that goes through the hole in the box, and as you're doing up the screw, the rubber here mushrooms out and clamps the box down. And it's telling us to mount two of them here, and then all the rest of the book, it's not telling you to do anything with them. So I'm going to leave them. Something else I'm going to do is, well, something I'm not going to do, more to the point, is put these battery mounts in. These are for the Tamiya Life batteries, which I don't have one, so I think I'm going to end up buying one. Just give me 2 secs and I'll find a 6L pack. Have one here, and look at that. Look at that. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I reckon that's a perfect fit. The reason why we haven't run any of the other SRBs, well, two reasons. One, we don't want to get them dirty. But two, we don't have a battery to fit inside the battery box. But this one fits a 6-cell perfectly without those other battery mounts. And this would keep it in there just fine. But to stop it rattling around, all you'd have to do, we've got these two slots in the chassis here. We've got all these other screws. Oh, they're for the battery thing, right? These two slots here, you can just run a big zip tie through it and just wind it down. That'll stop the battery rattling. Put your electronics plate on, plug her in, away you go. We might actually do that so we actually have a running... Oh, we haven't got a servo yet. We're going to have to wait for one of them. Oh, that got me excited then. Okay. Well, we're not playing around. We know the battery's going to fit. So, little tip. Here in the book, when they tell you to put a little kink in the arc clips, right? It's telling you to hold the end with the loop on it. Don't do that, because what can happen, and usually happens when I do it, is when you try and bend it, you spread your arc clip out and it loses its retention. So I hold the open end like that. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see. And just hold it against the bench. Give it a push. That gives you your kink in your arc clip, and it retains its springiness. So there's our rather rattly electronics plate. Righto, I don't think we need this anymore. I think Zach can have that one. Because now it's time for the wheels. And there you have it. There is your fighting buggy / super champ chassis. That's got the classic SRB camber. I don't know if this is... maybe we can adjust these stoppers to try and eliminate that free play there. Now, where would it have to go? It'd have to come in more, wouldn't it? It can't really, because they're on the flats. And this is a screw pin, so that it sits where it sits. Anyway, stop thinking. Completed chassis. Turned out really nice. Pleasure to build. Like I said, this is going to be the second last video. The last video is going to be putting the decals on the body and fitting the body. And maybe by then we might have a servo. We might even get it out for a bit of a run. This suspension's crazy, man. Apparently they handle really well. But we can't leave you like that. We're going to give you a sneak peek. So let's just set the body on. If I can get it on. Kind of got to spread the bottoms out a little bit. There you go. What do you think of that? Even without the stickers, it doesn't look too bad. Now we've still got to fit the roof, but I'm not doing that until the decals are on the roof. There. Once again, thanks for watching. And we'll see you when the car is complete and hopefully out on the track. Thanks again. Bye.